Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with a Caitlyn supplementary guide, and today we're going to be taking a look at building Bloodthirster on Caitlyn. So as we know, the best build for Caitlyn, which I covered in my updated complete guide, is basically this, going for the Stormrazor and first, basically in all circumstances, into the Blaster. Of course, there is an alternative build, which is this one, which is the guy that the build that the third guy is building, which is the on-hit one. And yeah, I believe I should have them here. Yep, so we have this and we have this. But, you know, back in the day before Stormrazor got that buff, of course, Bloodthirster was the go-to first item, and it's still the go-to first item for almost all ADCs, except Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn is one of the only few ADCs that actually really benefited from Stormrazor, and even before the Stormrazor buff, or rework, I guess, depending on how you want to see it, Caitlyn always loved getting Stormrazor, because it just synergized with her playstyle and all, right? So, I wanted to basically test out Bloodthirster instead of Stormrazor and see if it's actually good, and I'm going to give my thoughts on that when we get to the gameplay. But here we have Gluttonous Greaves, AD, Omnivamp, Bloodthirster, just all the good stats, physical vamp, AD, we have Blaster for the extra attack speed, the extra range for the harass, and also, of course, the static shift passive, then IE for the extra damage, and moral reminder for the armor pen and the grievous wounds. Now, last item is very, very flexible. You could go for something defensive, like Maw, like, Steric's Gauge, but you could also go for something more offensive, like Bork against, like, those really, really tanky teams, or even Runans, which, because, of course, with your, really high base range, you can proc Runans very, very easily and just blast people from one screen away. And then, of course, for the runes, it's pretty standard stuff. We have Lethal Tempo just for extra attack speed as well as range. You have Brutal because you auto attack a ton as an ADC. Giant Slayer generally is the best option here. Of course, you can go for Coup de Grace against squishy teams. We have Alacrity for the extra attack speed, and we have Bone Plating just for the defensive capabilities. And finally, for the spells, we have Ghost as well as Flash. Of course, again, you can go for Exhaust if you are against multiple assassins. But with all that said, let's hop into our gameplay. Okay, so let's take a look at the gameplay. Right here, rocking the new Arcane Commander Caitlyn skin. Pretty nice skin, of course, especially if you're a fan of Arcane like I am. But we're against a pretty interesting team, right? We have a really kind of tanky team on the enemy side. Of course, we have Mordekaiser, Volibear, and Nasus as well. All, really huge, solid frontline and double ADC, which they are kind of lacking a little bit in AP, being Mordekaiser being their main AP, unless Nasus builds AP. But they do have a pretty scary team comp, right? They have triple frontline and double, damage carries in the backline. Of course, Senna a little bit supportive as well. So pretty scary one. Although on our side, we also have Darius, Swain, and Warwick in the front line, and we have me and Morgana. So really kind of similar team comps here. As we get into our early game skirmish, where we try to basically all-in heal come through from the enemy team, and unfortunately, I do end up dying as first blood. Morgana does get the trade on Kai'Sa, hopefully, yeah, with the flash does, but in the end, it is a 1-for-2 trade in favor of the enemy team, so that's not too hot. Of course, Caitlyn generally is very strong in the early game. However, when you're fighting two ADCs, of course, Senna is also an ADC, if you really think about it. Of course, it's a little bit hard to compete in terms of damage, so definitely should not have taken that fight there. So, yeah, so first thing I wanted to cover is what do I think of the Bloodthirster build compared to the Stormrazor build, right? So, the short and long of it is basically that I think the Bloodthirster build it still works perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with the Bloodthirster build. You could go for it any day of the week if you wanted to. However, the Stormrazor build as of now is simply superior. Now, why is that the case? Stormrazor is a cheaper item. It gives you a really strong early game power spike, which on Caitlyn is what you want, because on Caitlyn, you want to spike early, or rather, you already are strong early and late, right? And you're really weak in the mid game comparatively to other ADCs if you're on the same amount of items. So what you really want to do, ideally, is you want to get ahead in the early game, and then use that lead to then get far ahead enough that in the mid game, you're not behind by too much, right? That's kind of the main goal. So you want to be up like an item over the enemy ADC in mid-game, and that is basically going to give you a smooth transition into the late game if you make it there, then allowing you to continue to carry the game. That's the goal of Caitlyn, right? Now, in terms of facilitating that goal, Stormrazor does it way better than Bloodthirster, simply because, as of now, Stormrazor, as I said, is cheaper, you can get it earlier, you can get the extra damage from the passive proc of Stormrazor, and also allows you to chase people down more easily, and yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Now, don't get me wrong, of course, Bloodthirster is a really decent item, gives you a lot more AD than Stormrazor, and also gives you the Omnivamp that Stormrazor doesn't give you, so it still has its merits, but I think as of now, Stormrazor is definitely the way to go, but Bloodthirster is still perfectly viable. Okay, so now let's focus a little bit more in on the gameplay. The part where I was talking about the build, you did see some pretty solid Caitlyn gameplay where I was bullying the Kai'Sa under the tower, and pretty much comboing her under the tower, but we're just going to focus on what's happening right now. Of course, we are still 0, 1, and 1, dying to Kai'Sa in the early game. However, fortunately, in terms of gold, we're actually even in terms of the Kai'Sa, and Morgana's also even with the Senna, despite the fact that both of the enemy bot laners have kills. We've apparently been farming very well. They must have been missing some farm while they were getting harassed by me, and we've actually been able to catch up. So in terms of the actual gold, we're not actually behind in all, despite being behind in KDA. So KDA, of course, is not everything. Here we're comboing Senna instead. Senna takes a chunk, goes down to below half HP. And now we're trying to do the same to Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa steps in the trap as well. We blast her with a headshot. Of course, you always need to have the wherewithal to follow up on your supports engage like that. And then we try to ult, but of course, it doesn't really get the kill because of the fruit. Again, Morgana hits a very nice binding, and we follow up once again. And we also want to be able to put traps below the enemy tower to restrict their movement. If you've played against a Caitlyn yourself, you know how terrible that can feel to basically not be able to move under your tower and just have to step very, very carefully. So here we are back to the lane after taking some fruit, and we are still trying to harass the two of them. Kai'Sa really low, nice sidestep on the Morgana binding. That probably would have spelled her death if the binding hit, because I would have been able to go forward and kill her. They don't have any summoner spells aside from the flash on Senna, so we definitely have a ton of kill pressure at the moment. Even if we don't kill them, we can still shove in and get tower plates, so we are in a pretty good spot now, despite again dying in the early game. We're actually in a really, really solid spot. It's almost as if we didn't die. So here again, we're just harassing them, putting the trap down in the choke point at the tower to basically cut off their route. Another trap on the other side of the tower to make it really difficult for them. Kai'Sa gets caught here. I get the 90 caliber net onto her, and I'm able to kill her. Senna is now really low. Morgana's Comet does finish the job, and we get both kills, and we're also able to whack the tower. So you can see there how basically Senna was trapped, right? Senna knew she was dead. She couldn't step forward because of the trap I had there restricting her movement. If she did so, I would just kill her. So she decided to instead just try to just run around the tower and try to survive as long as she can, maybe buying an extra half a second or so, but Morgana Comet does eventually finish the job. Now here, in case you're wondering what am I doing here instead of resetting, is I'm actually very, very close to completing Bloodthirster on base. So what I'm doing here is I'm just farming the Krugs to get Bloodthirster, and I farm the Krugs so slowly because obviously I only have boots right now. Of course I don't have any smite or anything like that. So I'm farming it real slow, no items, no AD to really farm the camps with. But here you can see I have an entire Bloodthirster. So that's 3,300 gold spent in a single base, which is pretty bonkers if you really think about it. So here, my Morgana is getting chased down by Volibear, and I'm trying to run there to help her out a little bit. Now with my first item completed, of course it's gonna be great. Of course, Kai'Sa also has her first item completed, which is Terminus, which obviously Kai'Sa always rushes the first item instead of going for boots or anything like that. So pretty standard stuff. Now here again we're setting the trap. Kai'Sa consistently is walking into the trap, so we combo with the Q auto there to get the max damage Q onto the Kai'Sa. And here at this point we are farming the last of the plates here. Senna gets the root onto Morgana. Morgana is getting really, really low. Pretty dangerous stuff there. And making sure to place wards in the river to ensure we can see when the enemies are not enemies, but yeah, I guess enemies, but mainly the jungler, or maybe even if the mid laner roams. But I don't really expect a Nasus to be roaming. Now here Morgana gets a huge binding, and we're able to full combo the Senna and get the kill on her. Didn't even need the net there. We get the first tower as well. Kaisa is ulting in onto the Morgana, and I would do the same if I was Kaisa, because Kaisa realizes she's not gonna escape, right? She has made a mistake in the sense that she stayed for too long under her tower to the point the tower is dead, right? So she's just gonna get run down by myself and Morgana, especially because Morgana has Rylai. So she does the best. She makes the best out of a bad situation by ulting and trying to trade onto Morgana, which she does do so eventually before I end up killing her. So yeah, that's pretty much the best she could do. In the meanwhile, though, it's a party in the mid lane with a 3-man dive going on in the mid lane, and down goes my teammates. I try to ult the 1 HP Volibear, because sometimes the teammates don't block for some reason, but this time they do. Nasus kind of gets caught here a little bit. I get pulled into the Mordekaiser ult, however I still have a tower, so I'm kiting to my tower. Mordekaiser is coming back out of the ult really soon, and there we go, he comes out of the ult, gets rooted by Morgana, and I'm able to finish him off. So honestly I think Mordekaiser ults are really finicky ult to use. It's kind of difficult to use because there's so many bad situations to use the ult. Of course, one of them, which they do very often, is ulting when enemies are near a tower, right? Because there's not very much you can do when enemies are near a tower unless you're fed enough to kill them under tower, which in this case he is not, right? So I'm safety under tower, he can't kill me, and I just need to wait it out, and I'm actually kiting him out and doing more damage to him than he is to me, right? So yeah, he ends up kind of messing it up. He shouldn't have ulted me there. Of course, another time Mordekaiser ult is bad is when you're using it to either KS, or if you're using it when another teammate could have just one-shot them, then it's pretty much just a waste, right? There's no reason to ult someone who's 1 HP or to ult someone who's just going to get one-shot by your Talon or something like that. Right, so I think Mordekaiser ults are actually really difficult ult to use because it requires a lot of game knowledge as to when you should use it. So Mordekaiser ults, good Mordekaiser ults are few and far between, but when they are good ones, they are great, right? So here, we picked up our second item. We're just fighting farm wherever we can. We've gone back to farm the bot lane. We've picked up the Skull on the way to mid lane. We have our Swain getting run down. However, we are just in the back line, just blasting. Caitlyn loves a game where she has a solid front line, right? You can just stand in the back and just blast people for free. In this case, we can just stand behind our Swain and our Darius, and we can just blast people, right? So here, speaking of blast people, we have blasted the Senna into next week. The next dragon's coming out in a couple seconds. Kaisa as well as Nasus are in the area. Kaisa gets ulted by Warwick, gets one shot. I'm now just chasing Nasus down a little bit. Nasus is really difficult to kill. However, he does get chain CC, so there's not a lot that he can really do about it. We get the 2 kills, and then we can turn back onto the dragon to kind of get that. So looking at the overall state of the game right now, we can see we're at the most fed member of the game at nearly 10k gold with 2 full items. Mordekaiser is actually kind of close behind, about 1k gold behind me. He has Zeeks, which is really interesting, because pretty much means that I'm never going to be able to escape if he gets near me, with the Zeeks slowing me down as well. I guess Zeeks is pretty interesting to go for instead of Rylai. I think it pretty much serves a similar purpose, but gives you more tanky stats. And in terms of the rest of the team, everyone else is kind of on par, maybe, except Darius. Darius is kind of pretty far behind. He is not doing the best in terms of KDA and gold. And the bot lane, my enemy bot lane is even ahead of him. So that's not a good sign. However, he will still serve a purpose as a front line. He has gone for a very defensive build. He has a Frozen Heart first item, which is not a bad idea actually, because they do have Volibear, Kaisa, and Senna, who are all our auto attackers. Here Kaisa is obviously farming my Krugs. We can't allow that to happen, right? So we're just going to run her down. She's escaping with her ult, so we're going to run Senna down instead. Now switching back to Kaisa. Kaisa goes down. Senna's going to be the next target. She can't get away. She dies. Nasus is now coming in. Withers me. Beautiful shield by the Morgana. Beautiful black shield to basically save me, at least for the moment. Another Wither comes through. Once that Wither cooldown, by the way, and I barely survive Nasus. Yep. With the shield, I survive Nasus as well. But wow, that was a real close one. Nasus withered me twice there. I don't remember Wither's cooldown being that low, but I guess it really was. So here we can back and get our IE. And we also swap our boots to the armor boots, because pretty much aside from Mordekaiser, everybody else on their team is going to be AD. Of course, Kaisa does a little bit of AP damage as well. which actually is really great for the Morgana shield, right? Because only Mordekaiser can effectively remove the Morgana shield. I don't believe a Kai'Sa W will remove the Morgana shield, so Kai'Sa has to proc her passive to remove it. So essentially, Morgana shield is insanely OP in this particular match because obviously it's really difficult to break, and it counters like Nasus's Wither, Volibear, you know, Stun, and of course the Root from Senna, and even the Mordekaiser ult, if Mordekaiser somehow ults the guy with the shield, right? So here I'm running down the bot lane once again. It's going a little bit sideways, so Morgana's taking a ton of damage. I end up going legendary. However, I have ended up overextended because now I'm getting caught up by pretty much the entire enemy team, and I do end up dying. So shouldn't have went up that far. And now we have kind of a fight between all of the tanks, right? So first tank to fall is Warwick. And now we have Swain going and taking down Nasus. And now we have a 1v1 with Swain versus Volibear. Now my money is on Volibear in the long run, because Volibear I think does way more DPS than Swain. But Swain is wasting a ton of time, which allows Darius to come in. Darius stacking onto Volibear full stacks and finally is able to kill him. But yeah. Now next tank is in. Now here comes Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser now joins the fray, going for Darius. Looks like he's gonna get Darius. Down goes Darius. And now it's a 1v1 between Mordekaiser and the Swain. Both of them pull each other. And Morgana is now joining the fight. And I've respawned already, by the way. And now I'm making my way down to the fight, because it looks like the fight's never ending. Because all the tanks are just going in one by one by one by one. And here I'm ulting Mordekaiser to just help out a little bit. And I finally made my way to the fight, and as does the enemy ADC as well. So yeah, really long fight that pretty much never even, only just ended. Pretty funny one. But yeah, so at this point, I am really fed, and I can pretty much kill even the tank. Of course, getting myself a Maul Reminder at this point would be very helpful in that endeavor. But as of now, I can still kill the tank. It does take a little bit of time though. And here I'm now just blasting Nasus, making sure to stay away from him so he can't damage me. We are able to take him down. Now we're going on to next target, Senna and Volibear. Now Volibear is kind of killing our backline, which is Morgana. She does get a root on him. I'm able to auto attack him down to the point that Darius can get the last hit on him. And Mountain Soul is up, and Mountain Soul is the least valuable, even in a situation where you have a team of like tanks, right? Like whether it's our team or the enemy team. I really don't think Mountain Soul is that valuable. I think Mountain Soul is probably, I mean not probably, but definitely the worst soul out of them all. So here, instead of going for the Dragon, I decided to go for the Baron. Like I said, I think Mountain Soul really does not matter. The best obviously is Infernal, I think, followed by Ice Drake, and Ocean Drake is good situationally and really good if you have a lot of tanks. But I just think Mountain Soul is kind of useless, right? So here Kai'Sa is trying to solo the Dragon, right? So now we've secured the Baron. I'm trying to rush my way over to the Dragon because I don't want them to get it for free, or at least, at least not with no contest, right? So we're trying to make our way there as quickly as we can. I'm actually running around the other way, and Warwick actually secures the Dragon and gets the soul. And the reason why I run the other way is because I see Nasus cutting me off, right? I don't want to run into Nasus, get withered, and get run down by him, right? That's not going to be a good look, right? Because basically all I would have done there is got Baron, run over to Dragon, get killed by Nasus, and lose all my tempo and momentum, and that will be horrible, right? So I would rather stay alive and give them the soul. Not give them the soul, but give them the Dragon, and we don't get the soul, so that we can use Baron to push. Speaking of using Baron to push, my team is all already there pushing. I'm just trying to make my way there off of my reset. And we secure the tower, and we're moving on to the inhibitor. Just putting bullets into the Volibear. Volibear is taking a ton of damage. I ult him, and he does end up going down to the ulti. Kai'Sa is taking a huge chunk of damage as well from my headshot auto. And yeah, now we're just blasting the tower, and tower goes down. Now we're just blasting whichever is the target that we can hit, which is in this case the Nasus. Nasus goes down. Blasting the Kai'Sa as well. Now blasting the Mordekaiser, getting out of his range so we don't get slow. He is killing us, and he does eventually get the kill onto us. And I think my team is playing a little bit too much for kills, although I'm guilty of that as well. We should be ending the game, and we end up not actually ending the game. Yeah, TX is ulting, not even the base, but ulting the Senna. TX kills the Senna. And the next wave is coming in, but the TX is taking a ton of damage. TX is only caring about focusing Kai'Sa, doesn't care about the base whatsoever, dies. And yeah, the base is now getting focused. Maybe we can end the game. Nope, Volibear comes in and saves the game. The base lives on 600 HP. And yeah, okay, so if we lose the game, it's a huge throw, right? Not even in the sense that we threw a huge lead, but we literally could have ended the game and didn't end the game. So that is the biggest kind of throw possible if you end up losing. But yeah, here I finally have respawned, and now I have 4 full crit items. And I'm ready to get back into it. So yeah, I'm just gonna quickly pick up this red buff. Elder Dragon is now spawning, and now it's actually gonna be a fight, right? So I'm really afraid here, because I'm thinking that we just messed up big time, right? Enemy team could easily secure Elder, and then wipe us out, and then win the game, right? Especially when the whole enemy team is kind of just running here, and I have a Darius who's dead, and my team is kind of not here. Warwick finally comes in, and I have a Volibear on top of me. With the help of my team, I'm eventually able to kill Volibear. I pop the Ghost. Morgana puts the shield on me. I'm blasting whoever I can. I'm blasting. Nessus goes down. I'm literally just hitting whoever I can. I'm chasing down Senna. She's in the cloak, so I can get her. Huge root by Morgana kills Kaisa. And I believe we can end the game right here. Only Senna is left alive. And wow, that was a close one. Right? That was a close shave. But still a huge carry performance from our Caitlyn, and from, of course, using this but this old Bloodthirster build instead of the new Stormrazor build. But yeah, so anyways guys, with that, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.